So on this theme that we've been working on for studying the yamas, and next week we'll start the niyama, or this week, I guess, we'll start the niyamas. But the last of the yamas is Aparigraha. And, remembering that all of the yamas are really about the restraints that we can cultivate to help us, have a better time of it here on the planet, right? So it's really good stuff. And my hope is that when you practice the yamas and the niyamas, that you feel good instead of feeling like you fall down on the job. So if you tend to have like a type A personality where I'm going to do this perfectly, remember that all the yamas are just these guidelines for having, for being able to cultivate ourselves. There's no perfection. There's only a journey through the process. And Aparigraha is no different from the others in that way. So Aparigraha is a sense of non-attachment, non-possessiveness, kind of non-clinging, non-grasping, the ways that we desire things or experiences, and how that can get us trapped sometimes. So it's really this ability to let go. So an example is I've heard two stories about monkeys. One is about trapping monkeys. So this is terrible, obviously. But I guess some experimenters put rice inside opened up coconut shells, and the hole was big enough for the monkey to put their hand in when they had no food in their hand. But once they put the rice that was in the coconut in their hand to get it, they couldn't get their hand out of the coconut shell. And instead of letting go of the rice and getting their hand out and running away, they were so attached to, no, I want this rice, that this was a way for monkeys to be trapped. And then I've heard the same story about bananas, that there's been cages where there's bananas that are in the cages, and when the monkey slides their hand into a very narrow passageway, once they have the banana in their hand, they can't get it out. But rather than let go, they hang on to the banana and won't let go for dear life because they want the banana. And we are no different. We may not have so much of an attachment to the banana, but we certainly have attachment to all sorts of things. And what we hold on to can burden us. So this is not to say that you can't have attachments to all the things that you love and the people that you love. It's not really about that. It's about noticing when your attachments become burdens and prevent you from having a sense of freedom. So, what you cling to clings onto you, and what you hold holds onto you. So if you're struggling with grudges or you name it, anything that's binding you. It's very difficult sometimes when we've been holding on to something for a very long time to learn to release and let go. But when we have this sense of non-attachment, we open up so much space for freedom. And this is the beautiful thing, right? We have opportunities for growth. We just have opportunities, period, where when we free ourselves from something, we make room and space for something else to arrive. So packing light for the journey, not making sure that we are carrying too much heavy stuff, the baggage that we carry around. If we can drop it, we become more nimble, we become more adaptable. When we have this sense of spaciousness and freedom, flow arrives in our lives. We become more open to gratitude and abundance. And this leads to a lot of generosity and to a lot of trust. So, these are beautiful things that we want, right? Generosity and trust and abundance and a sense of freedom and flow. When I say these words, don't they feel good in your mind and in your body? So learning to let go is a really important key. So I read this last night that Krishna Das talked about that we have strong muscles for holding on. We have flexed our holding on muscles a lot in our mind, in our body, but we haven't done a lot of work to flex our letting go muscles as much. So using our yoga practice to flex those letting go muscles, to allow ourselves to release some of the tension that we're holding, release some of the judgments that we're holding, release some of the grass is always greener somewhere else. And this can be a beautiful thing. So the breath is a beautiful way to practice this, as well as just how you feel in your body when you're moving. So the last thing I want to say is, all of you know, I'm a hospice nurse, and obviously I have the honor of being in presence with so many different people when they are in their final moments. And it amazes me how much we hold on, and right. So that's the final letting go that we all are preparing for, really. And sometimes I look around into the space where I am in somebody's home, and there's all this gathered from a life, right? And there's beautiful things, there's memories, and there's all these beautiful things that we gather to us, but there's also so many things that just become irrelevant, that when we're really at the edge, the precipice of death, so much just becomes unnecessary. And it is this beautiful, beautiful act of letting go. So we have a choice in how we meet our moments of needing to let go. That's the big one, right? When we die. But there's many, many moments that we will meet along the way. And so how do you greet those moments? How do you greet those moments? Are you able to let go of what's unimportant and really focus on what is? Or do you kind of hold on to, needing to control this, that, or the other thing? So once again, no judgments around our actions and the way we are in the world. We do our very best to support ourselves and others, but it's just things to look at. The yamas are practices that we can cultivate for the better, for us to be better and lead a better life. So sit up straight and tall and take a moment to allow yourself to be here now. So let's feel ourselves, feel our way into our breath. Even when you begin your practice, you're letting go of something else, whatever you were doing earlier, whatever you will be doing later. We release our attachment to that and we bring ourselves here. So what does it feel like to bring yourself here? Can you start to feel into your breathing body? And as always, the breath is our wise teacher. And we learn moment by moment what it feels like to have this sense of letting go, non-attachment. As you breathe out, can you fully release the breath? Can you let your body open up and let go enough to release the breath? And can you notice what comes? The sense of trust. You know another breath is coming. The generosity of the breath, the abundance of the breath, the flow, freedom of the breath. So dance with that interchange of the inhale and the exhale being a deep representation of a Aparigraha, where we get to receive and we get to let go. What part of your body can you offer a little more softness to? Is anywhere within you holding tension unnecessarily? So of course we need to support ourselves with a little bit of strain. But what's unnecessary? Can you feel the way the earth is supporting you? Can you trust in that support? As you already place your hands together. And even in this position of the hands, we're not clasping our hands, we're resting our hands against each other. Can you feel that sense of coming toward the midline and toward the center without it being something that we grip? When you are here in this centered place, offer an intention and see if you can work with your intention to be, to allow it to flow, that it's not something that you want, that you desire, that you want to possess, but it's rather like create verbs instead of nouns, perhaps, in your intention, so that you intend something to flow. Release your hands. All right, let's find our way onto our back on our mat. Okay. So as you move into your practice, let's find a sense of breathing as much as we can. See if you can stay present for your breath body. Reach your arms overhead. Stretch that beautiful morning stretch. Feeling that sense of length and space through one side and then some length and space through the other side. Allow your shoulders to move, allow your ribs to move, allow your hips to move. All right, and then when you're ready, bring your knees into your chest and rock a little bit, swaying side to side. Just feeling in, how's your back, how's your neck, how's your spine? And then circle the knees, kind of rolling one direction, moving into another direction, and into a third direction where we pull our knees away from the midline and bring them back in. So knees away from each other, and then bring them back to the center. So just feel into the hip joints, let things loosen up and warm up, getting all the tissues around your hip to release. And then your right knee comes into the chest, left leg on the ground, and feel free to move your ankles about, let them warm up too. Feeling your feet wiggle, your ankles move, let your head get heavy on the ground. And then change sides, left knee and right leg long. Feel the extension and openness through your hip, through your spine. Move the feet around if you want to. And then release that knee and spread out your limbs, stretching wide, feeling that sense of expansiveness. And then as you exhale all your breath out, let it go, pick up your head, squeeze out all your air. Again, opening up big and wide. Exhale. One more time. And release your head down onto the ground. Let your feet get a little wider to the edges of the mat. And let's just windshield wiper our knees. So swoosh one side and then swoosh to the other. And feel free to move your head. You can turn your head from one side to the other. Maybe even stretch your opposing arm away, feeling that full side stretch. All right, and then last time, open out to a star. Exhale, knees into your chest. And come rolling over onto your side and come up onto your hands and your knees. So as you find your way onto all fours, take a moment to enjoy this new position, find your breath. And then as you're ready, let's start to round and arch the spine, moving through some cat-cows, feeling that sense of spaciousness, where we're opening one side, closing the other, and then opening the other side of our vertebrae and closing the other. And take notice, how are your shoulders? How is your neck? How is your pelvis, your tail, your lower back? See if you can feel into all the places in your body. You can move away from flexion and extension and start moving your body any way that feels good. You can do some big rolls through your ribs or movement through your pelvis. Move your head around. Once again, being aware of our breath. So we're just loosening up our body and find all the places that you might be a little tender, a little tight. And then let's curl the toes under and stretch back to child's pose, opening up the bottom of your feet. You can try to bring your ankles toward each other. You won't go all the way down, obviously, but just feel into the open feet. And then release that. Let your feet be normal for child's pose and stretch your hips back. Soften your skull. Take your knees comfortably wide, whatever that means to you. Let's walk the hands over to the right side of the mat, feeling that sense of big open space. Drop weight into your hip. Relax your neck. A full breath in and out, feeling your rib cage. Is there a part of your body that you can let go? Maybe your neck or your eyes. So see through your practice today, if you can not only try to keep a deep awareness on the breath, but also a deep awareness on the subtle ways that tension likes to creep into your body. And see what you can offer into these small places, the art of letting go. Come back to center, come up onto all fours. Let's find our way into a twist. Reach the arm up in the air. Exhale, slide that shoulder down. Open up the back side of your body. Let your breath fill up the back ribs. And then inhale, reach that arm up. Hand comes down, changing sides. Arm lifting again. Exhale, slide that shoulder down. Feel the sense of freedom in the back of your rib cage. Breathe well. And when you're ready, lift that arm back up again. Hand comes down. Find your way to dog pose. So begin to pedal your feet. You can stretch and move it in any way that serves. You can bend your knee or move your head around. So let your first dog pose be a very playful one where you're just feeling into the body and coming into your practice in a way that you love. So what is the goodness that you find when you are embodied, when you start to feel yourself living in your body, living in your breath? A full inhale, full exhale. Let your neck soften. Feel the places you can surrender and let go here. And as you feel ready, walk your feet forward. Let your head relax. Come into Uttanasana. So we're folding forward. Let your knees bend as much as you want or need them to. Soften your skull. Find your way to a halfway lift. Extend and lengthen your spine. Feel your femur bones move way, way back. Spread open the bottom of your feet. Feel that extension. And then when you're ready, melt and fold again. Let your neck soften, dangle it, let it relax. What can you surrender? Can you allow the bones of your neck to just release toward the floor?
Inhale for a halfway lift again. The spine gets longer, the legs get straighter. And melt and fold. Rising on up, bringing the arms to the sky, feeling that sense of extension. Open up through the heart space, maybe lean back a little bit if it feels nice. And square up the shoulder or the elbow so you come into cactus arms, feeling the squeeze of the shoulder blades. And then release your arms down. Big breath in, arms come back up. Swan dive forward, release your neck, soften your skull. Inhale for a halfway lift. Melt again. Step back to dog pose. Hands ground and feet ground. Feel that sense of stability. Let your breath enter, let your breath leave. Where do you like to hold tension? Melt as best as you can. Enjoy the fullness of your breaths out. Feel that trusting nature of the breath where you know the next one's coming. You can let go. There's nothing lost. All right, inhale, come forward, finding a plank. All right, so nurture that strength in the center of the body. Keep your neck neutral. Shoulders away from the ears, integrate into your core. When you're ready, you can put your knees down if you need to. Roll the shoulders a few times. Inhale, cobra pose, let the chest open. Exhale, melt back down. And again, rising up. Melting to release. Come up onto all fours and move your pelvis around. You can wag your tail, you can shimmy your hips, you can move through your spine, melt through your face. When you're ready, ground the hands again, ground the feet again, back up to dog pose. Full breaths here. Let's lift the right leg up in the air. Let's stack open the right hip so you feel that stretch through the center of your body, through your hip. Try not to collapse too much through the left arm. And then as you're ready, square up again. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, knee to your chest. Just bring it straight into the center. Inhale, back leg up. Exhale, shoulders over wrists, right knee to right elbow. Inhale, bringing it back up. Exhale, right knee to left elbow. All your breath out. Bringing it back up. Place your foot down onto the ground. Feel into that sense of yielding, grounding. Change sides when you're ready. Left leg lifting high. Let's stack open. Feel into that breath, moving into your ribs and your belly and your hip. And when you're ready, square up the hips, take a deep breath. Knee to your chest, shoulders over wrists. Inhale, bring it back. Exhale, knee to outer left elbow. Inhale, bring it on back. You can always have your right knee on the ground for the sequence if it's too much for your shoulders. All right, lifting it back up. Place your feet down, walk your feet forward. And relax your shoulders for a moment. You can grab onto your elbows if you want. Dangle your head, shimmy your ribs away from your pelvis. Feel your hamstrings open. Then find your way to a halfway lift. Hands can come on legs or blocks, extending through your spine. Melt and fold. Neck is soft. Drop your seat, rise up. Arms coming to the sky. Feel that sense of open breath. And then release your hands down. Shake out your wrists. We were on our wrists for, a little bit of time. Just give them a good shake and release. Then interlace your fingers behind your back. Open across your chest. Lean forward, bend forward, let your arms leave the spine, dangle your neck. All right, release your arms, let them down, relax. Let's find our hands on blocks or the floor, your choice. Step your left foot back. Let's place our back knee down onto the ground just for a moment. Feel that hip flexor stretch. Open up through the front of your back leg. All right, we're going to lift that knee up off the ground and let's flow here for a moment. Straightening the leg and then bending. So return to the awareness of your breath, that feeling state of breathing, letting the breath move the body, remembering that our exhales just make way. They make way for flow. They make way for the abundance of our next inhale to come. What we hold on to holds on to us. What we cling to clings to us. So what is something that you would like to release? All right, so go ahead and drop your weight. Feel the grounding, rising on up. Find your breath. Reach the arms up to the sky or anywhere that serves. So you can keep your hands on your hips if you want, anything that feels good. From feeling into that open space. Relax through the face. See if you can melt through your eyes, your jaw, your tongue, the base of your skull. Knit your ribs in. Let your back knee be unbound. So if you're really pushing your back knee, soften it a little bit. And then release your hands back down. Put your back knee onto the ground. Take your hands on the inside edge of that right foot. Hands can be on blocks or the ground, whatever feels good. Just let that hip open up a little bit. The heart stays forward. Collarbones are wide. You can choose to keep the back knee on the ground. You can choose to lift the back knee up off the ground. Breathing well. All right, come back to dog pose once you feel ready. Extending through your spine here. Feeling your full breath in, your full breath out. This is a great pose to practice the art of letting go. There's something about inversions and forward folds that give you an advantage for the art of release. See what you can do to melt into that. All right, and when you are ready, bring your left foot forward, right foot stays back. Place your knee down onto the ground. Feeling into that hip flexor stretch. You can have your hands on your knee or on the floor or on blocks. Feeling into that spaciousness of the hip flexor, opening up. Okay, now when we are ready, lift your back knee up off the ground and start to flow with your breath, straightening your front leg some and bending. So again, remembering that we don't have to go all the way straight with our leg. We want to maintain the length of our spine as best as we can. How's the flow of your breath? Once you feel ready, stabilize your legs. Come on up. Now again, your hands can be down, your hands can be out, anywhere that serves. Okay, what are you serving? So are you serving the ego? Are you serving the mind? Can you serve the breath? Where does the breath most like your arms? So experiment, put your arms in different places instead of always doing the same thing. And pay attention to how the breath is received and how you can release it. And there's no rights or wrongs. And where your hands land today may not be where they land tomorrow. So just be in this moment. Press some weight down into your front heel. Feel your support of your legs. Knit your ribs in. Melt something. Release your hands, back knee comes down onto the ground, hands onto the inside edge of that knee. Hands can be on the blocks or the floor. Extend the heart forward, just get into a deep hip compression in this front leg. So just letting the hip compress as we open up the back one. Lift your knee off the ground if your body is ready for that. Feel into the shoulders, let them move away from the ears. Okay, let's bring that front foot back, plank pose. Feel into the stability of your body. Breathing well. And then lower yourself down to the ground. As you do, as you lower yourself, see what it feels like to make sure you're supported in your shoulders. Then roll the shoulders a couple of times. Take your arms out in front of you and extend open in a really wide Sphinx pose. Stretch your legs, stretch your heart. And then release and melt. Come up on tall fours. Move the spine about, back and forth, swaying and swishing and moving in any way that feels good. Find dog pose or just come to stand. We're all going to get there eventually. So either dog pose to Uttanasana, to standing, or just come right up to stand. All right, so go ahead and take your legs to the edges of your mat. We're going to come down 2 squats here. First squat is just how we often do it, where our hips are in line with our knees, just getting our hips used to flexion, spread out the bones of your feet, open things up. Breathing well. You can kind of maneuver, turn your feet a little bit more if your knees are opening. Okay, and we're going to stand on up. And this time when we come to a squat, we're going to go all the way down. So you might want a different position with your feet. Now, if you're like this, where your heels are up off the ground, and you want more support, you can do one of 2 things. You can put a blanket underneath your heels, or you can sit on a block. Okay, so there's lots of ways if you need some support to go deeper into a deep squat. Okay, so elbows can stay inside the knees. The chest lifts. Find the breath. You surrender here. Find your breath. All right, put your hands back down. Hips come back up. Get rid of that blanket and block underneath you if you had it. And find your way to standing. Take your feet wider so you can turn to the side edge of your mat now. And just moving with those, the energies of the vayus of the body. So that apana vayu that goes down. All right, and then the prana vayu which comes up. So let's find that sense of open space lifting. Exhale, goddess through your legs, drop some energy down. Feel your sense of dropping to the earth. Inhale. Lifting all the way back up. Close your eyes if you want. See if you can sense the energy of this in your body. The downward energy and the upward energy. Feel upright through your torso as much as you can. Move with your breath, not my breath. Drop weight into your feet. Breathing well. Last one, we're going to stay down. All right, so once you get into a place where, you have to work for this a little bit, where can you surrender? Can you drop weight into your legs? Can you feel that sense of softness come through your face, your skull, the base of your neck, your shoulders? And then come on up to stand. Reach that energy up one more time. Turn your feet over to the right, Virabhadrasana 2. Okay, so just enjoy the openness. Yoga postures, these standing poses are so good for creating all this space in our body. Drop some weight through your feet, drop your shoulders. Can you feel your breath out? Can you feel the enlivening of your breath in? From here, straighten your legs. Arms coming back up. Let's turn to the other side. Foot left toes turn out. Find Virabhadrasana 2 on this side. Pay attention to your neck and shoulders. Move your arms into a different position. If you're struggling with that feeling like you're just holding your shoulders up, drop them down. Get weight to go lower in your body. Feel your neck release, your eyes release. All right, straighten back up. Feet are turned forward now. Bring your hands down onto the mat. Relax your neck, and you can have hands on blocks if the mat is too far away. Keep your neck surrendering. So feel the inversion here. Melt as best as you can. Relax your skull. All your breath out. Heel toe your feet in. Bend your knees and come on up to stand. So as we find tree pose, balance poses are often a clear way we can notice our sense of clinging. When you find your way, so start on your right foot. When you find your way into a balanced posture and your ego wants to hold the pose, hold the pose, right? Just think of that, holding the pose. Can you exercise those muscles of letting go at the same time as self-supporting? So melt through your eyes. Find a gaze point that you can softly look at instead of burrow into. Bring your arms into a spacious place, wherever that is. Again, feed your breath. Over and over, feed the breath. Try not to hold on to the pose, let go of the pose. So we're stable, but we're free. And then release and put that foot on the ground. Let's be joyful about our 2 legs. And come up onto your toes, back onto your heels. Just enjoy having these feet to rest upon. And then let's try the second side. So left foot anchors into the earth. Feel that sense of giving roots downward. Okay, so open up, bring your arms anywhere that serves. So remember, if you're wobbly and this pose is tricky, stay with the wobbles. Try to find your stability, but don't grasp the stability. So soften your eyes, soften your neck, soften your tongue, soften your hands. Make sure you're breathing. Feel your roots move down deeply into your feet. Remember, your arms can be anywhere. Relax and release that foot down onto the ground. Moving through vinyasa. Inhale, open up through the spine. Exhale, lower your body down, relax your neck. Inhale, halfway lift. Melt and fold. Jump back, step back, however you want to get back. Come to dog pose. Enjoy, yield. Come forward into a plank, find your breath. So even though we're very stable in a posture like this, is there still flow? Surrender your body down. Inhale, cobra pose or up dog, whatever it is that your body's asking for, melts. Come on to all fours and move your spine about. Finding any freedom that feels good through your spine. Back to child's pose. All right, let's surrender here. Melt the base of your skull. Melt through your eyes. Every time you step onto your mat with a teacher, of course you have autonomy, right? You're self-directing. But because you are being guided into who knows what, every day you have no idea what poses we're going to do. This is in and of itself a beautiful act of surrender. So sometimes being, the following can be an act of surrender. Sometimes being a leader, always being a leader in your own body, but lead in the sense of what brings flow, what brings freedom, what brings a sense of abundance and trust. Can you let these be your guides instead of accomplishing a task or finding a pose and doing it right, or the holy grail of I'm going to accomplish this. And it can be off the mat too. I'm not just talking about on the mat. Okay, let's come on up. We're going to bring this is not for everybody, so plan B I'll tell you in a moment, but if plan B A is available, right foot is forward, left knee is on the mat. You can pad underneath your knee if you need it. So I'll show you from the side. We're going to reach back, and so our right foot is forward, our left knee is back. Reach with your right arm to grab onto your left foot and find the quad stretch. If that's not available for your body, you can either come onto your side and quad stretch like this, or you can stand up and do a quad stretch like this, where you can just be holding onto your quad. So open up as best as you can, feeling into this sense of that it's, if you are on the ground, that it's not just the quads, it's the hip flexors too. Open across your chest, find your breath. As you're ready, release, come out of there, and find your way to the other side. So any of those three poses, and one side might be very different from the other side. Breathing well, your hand, if you're doing the first variation, your hand can be on a block. It doesn't have to be on the floor. You can use a strap around your foot to reach, so that if you can't quite reach your hand to your foot, try not to fall. Okay, so hug in toward the midline with your inner thighs. Feel the openness across not just your thigh, but your hips. Feel it across your chest. Breathing well. Relax and release out of there. When you feel ready, come back to child's pose. Full breath in, full breath out. Okay, so you have a choice where you can do an active back bend or a passive back bend. So which is going to give you the art of non-attachment the best? Okay, so do you tend to attach to, I'm going to do the most strenuous thing, or do you tend to attach to
I'm gonna do the least strenuous thing. And maybe go opposite of what you normally would, unless there's some need in your body for what you naturally do. So you can do either, there's lots of variations. You can do Dhanurasana, where you come onto your belly, grab onto your feet and lift up. That's an active one. You can do an active bridge pose, where we're on our back and you lift your pelvis. You can do a full wheel pose if your body's feeling ready for that. Those would be the 3 active poses. Passive poses, you can use a block underneath your pelvis for a passive bridge. You can use 2 blocks or 1 block for a back bend over a block. So cross your shoulder blades, and then the other one for your head, or none for your head. Okay, so find a pathway, whatever it is. We'll be here for a few breaths. So whatever posture you're doing, you can do more than one. So if you're in an active pose, you probably won't stay as long as a passive pose. So you can do 1 or 2. And then if you are doing an active pose, let's all meet now, and whatever pose you were doing, change so that you're in a hard bench. Okay, so the bolster underneath, or sorry, a block underneath your shoulder blades across your spine or in line with your spine, and another block at the same height or a notch higher underneath the base of your skull. You can put your arms anywhere that serves your body. Okay, so pay attention to what your shoulders want. Maybe your arms are down at your sides, maybe they're straight out like a T, maybe they're cactus. They can also be clasped onto the opposing elbow and stretched over. So whatever you're doing, let's find a posture that you can melt a bit into. So release your eyes, your jaw, your tongue. See if you can detach from any expectation in your practice. What would it feel like if every time you stepped onto your mat, you had no expectations of how your body would feel, how mobile you are in any given day, how relaxed or chattery your mind is? What if you had no attachments to outcomes? That yogic expression of never give up and always let go. What does that mean to you? Do you have the ability to have a sense of discipline, will, focus, attention, effort? And is it balanced by this beautiful capacity to have no attachment to the outcome of our efforts? To release all judgments and expectations. Say it all the time in yoga: effort and surrender, the balance of effort and surrender. But how do you take this off your mat, out of the yoga posture and into your life? How do you cultivate generosity and trust?
we're going to find our way out of that posture. Come onto your side for a moment. Just roll over onto your side and rest. And then we'll find our way coming on up. So come to sit and grab the edge of a blanket to sit upon. Have your feet go over to one side and have, so feet over to the right and the blanket is underneath your left sit bone. Finding a twist, reaching the right arm up, bring it to the outside of the left knee and hang on. Find your breath. Pull your breath out again. Come back to center. Let's bring the blanket underneath the right sit bone. The feet are off to the left. Right hand's behind you. You can be on a block if you need it. Left arm is up in the air, and then bring the left arm to the outside of the right knee. All right, come back to center. So let's do a hip stretch, either pigeon pose or a reverse pigeon pose, or any posture. You can do fire log if you want to. So just something that stretches your hips. So there's no attachment to, it should be this pose. Just find something that you feel like doing right now that would open up the pelvis and hip joints. And when you find your way into whatever posture you're doing, see if you can surrender and let go. You know, there's this storyline that we hold a lot of baggage in our hips. I think you can hold your emotional wounding and conditioning in every cell in your body. The hips don't have a corner on the market, but just notice where tension lives in your body. You know, when you do store up some patterning, where is it for you? And even if it's not in your hips, can you find that place right now and let go? What you hold on to holds on to you. What can we release? Let the breath flow. Whatever you're doing, let's change to the other side. Melt something. Find any little pocket anywhere in your body that you can soften. Make space. When you invite this space, what arrives? What comes in the place of what you just released? So as you are ready for Shavasana, take your time, get your warm stuff on, get your props that you need. And can you think of a time when, like maybe on a vacation or just a day off, where you didn't have an agenda? where you didn't have a to-do list that needed to be checked off. You didn't have any expectations for how the day would go. Maybe going for a hike and not knowing how far you go or what, fork in the trail you would take. Maybe it could be anything at all. Just try to remember the feeling of openness that gave you, possibility, that freeing ourselves from attachments that it has to be this way or I must do this, really gives us a deep gift when we can let go of control, when we can let go of attachment. Beautiful opportunity arises. The present moment arises. The gift of trust arises. So as you begin to lie down, feel into what that feels like in your body, the possibility of this breath that's coming, the possibility of surrendering a little bit more and what that would offer in this moment. If you're at all cold, make sure you are covered. If you need any support at all, make sure you take it. Scan your body for any little place that's holding. And do anything that you can to even have a moment, just a bit of a release. Layer by layer, let your body sink. See if you can feel that the breath travels to every cell in your body. That it's not this just mechanical in and out. That it's a gift of chronic presence everywhere. Breathe deeply. We'll start to come from the deep places back into the awareness, the space you're in. Move around in any way that feels good with your body. Eventually finding your way to your side.
Coming up to sit very slowly. Let's bring our hands together at our heart. So the gift of your practice, let it flow through you to another. There's nothing to hoard. There's nothing to hold. See if you can just let energy move through you toward another that you would like to offer some energy to. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.